I'm actually quite proud of that one because it's a community award, so it shows I've done something right in the last 3 months, which is a good way to start my job at CD Projekt. What I'm doing is I'm community manager for the German-speaking regions, so I'm also working on the global projects, but mostly focusing on Germany. I would like to start with a short overview what a CM is actually doing, because a lot of people have different conceptions of what community management means. And then, like Ray, I would like to talk about being positive and being a force of good, because as an outspoken progressive feminist, to enter Reddit and to enter Discord and gaming channels can be quite hard. So, I really don't know who I am and what I'm doing, because community management is kind of an umbrella term. Lots of companies use different responsibility sets and skill sets to describe what a community manager is doing. So at one company it might be social media editor, at some companies it might be PR. I'm basically at an intersection of all of these. So I'm doing PR, I'm doing marketing, I'm social media, I'm also localizing because why not? And I'm doing event management as well. So if I'm doing community events or if I'm going to Gamescom, I would usually be the one planning everything. Why should gaming companies care about community management? Because it's fucking important to gather people around you that support not only your games, but also your company and your spirit. Because if you manage to get a good community, you actually gather people around you that are like-minded, that gather a sense of identity and belonging, and that give you the freedom to be more creative. Because if you take creative risks as a company and you have no loyal core fan base, that might turn bad very quickly. But if you have a loyal fan base and you might start a new sci-fi IP, people could follow you. So what am I doing? You don't have to read through that. That's basically just my daily responsibilities, but it's from like public-facing representative at game award things to writing reportings, which this looks very good at. It all boils down to projects. You have to be a project manager. Community management is not different at all from project management. You have to have a great love for spreadsheets. You have to love Trello. You have to have plans, because it's very easy to lose oversight when you're just focusing on Facebook, on Twitter, on the daily business, but you have to have a bigger plan. What do you want to achieve? Why do you want to achieve it? And what do you need from your team to actually be able to do it? So what would you like your community to look like? I can only say that these are my personal goals, because there's no right way to be a community manager, because every community is different, every company is different. So these are basically my own goals to stay, like Ray, kind of sane. I'm starting with community. Know your community. I know it's basic, but it's the first rule. You should know your audience. You should know what they expect of you. You should know what they expect of games. And you should also be the person at the office with all the gifs, all the memes, all the know of what, now I'm lost, Futurama is, but that was like 10 years ago. So, you know. You have to be the one knowing everyone. You also have to follow your community. Do not be too proud to go on Reddit. Do not be too proud to go where your community is, because if they are on a social media platform, there's usually a good reason for it. Of course, you can set up your own Discords, your own forums, but don't be too proud. Connect with your audience on a personal level. So, for example, for me, I will try to get to know them very, very personally. I will jump on Discord, and if I know someone has an exam, I will ask them how it went, just so they have a feeling for you, because you don't want to be remembered as a person only giving bad news. You don't want to be the person only jumping in, hey, we have patch notes, hey, we have bug fixes, hey, something went wrong, we have to cut down something from the game. You want to be the one they know from talking about Shawshank Redemption being the best movie ever made. That's what you want them to know you by. And the fourth one, for me, is the most important one: enrich them. They have to see you as a valuable asset to their community. You have to bring them something that they wouldn't have without you. So be it community meetings, be it you overhear them saying that an artwork is very great, try to get them the artwork. Try to talk to your devs, try to give them something. If they have a question, don't say, I'm not tech support, it's not my department. Go to your own tech support team, go to your colleagues and get the answer for them. Don't be the guy at MediaMarkt saying, no, it's not my responsibility. Make it your responsibility. Then on the other hand, you also enrich your company as well, which most companies, or some companies at least, seem to forget. Community managers gather so much knowledge because you're the front line, you're the troop, you talk to everyone, you will hear all the gossip, so you can gather everything that's important for your company to know. You will get all the trends. You will see up front how people react to different game launches, to different in-game purchase mechanisms. So you should write that down, collect it. I have several spreadsheets where I just gather down notes, and once every 2 weeks I would just send it to my team. And then you have to be the translator. Everyone here said that they're a jack of all trades. I'm a jack of some trades, but what I kind of like is talking to people. This is important, because I know it's a stereotype, but lots of our devs do not like talking to people. They would prefer to just give them the things they created, and then don't touch it and not talk to anyone. So you have to translate what the game devs want to communicate with their game to your players, and you have to communicate what your players want to your devs, because often they are not on the same level when they communicate. And then, humanize. What I mean by that is, if your community sees you as people instead of just some weird company, some abstract meta-level institution, they will be more loyal and they will be more likely to trust you. What I mean by that is also that if they don't treat your game as a product, you shouldn't treat them as customers. Treat them as your family, treat them as yours, which helps. For example, we had a contest and we had results, we had them scheduled, but then I couldn't communicate them because one of my jury members got sick. So instead of going in and saying, hey, I have to delay results, sorry, I said, hey guys, I'm very sorry, our jury member got sick, so due to personal issues, we have to delay it. And just by making it a little bit more personal and human, people didn't complain, but instead they came in wishing us well, saying that we should take all the time we need and just make it more understanding. So that's something you could give for your company because it's not something taken for credit. And then the most important one, forge strong bonds. That's what I already said when I said make a loyal core community. Forge bonds so that people buy your games. You probably know it. It's the Obsidian effect, it's the BioWare effect, it's also hopefully the CD Projekt Red thing, that if you make games, people say, okay, I trust these companies, they're usually doing good for us, so I will give their game a try, even if it's not my genre. So, dealing with negativity. I'm starting with this one because community management is fun. You are the tank, to stay in these terms. You are the one getting all the bullets. You're the one standing on the front lines. It's very, very great, especially as a woman, because the first half of my job so far, I had to prove that I'm worthy to be in the community and that, yes, I do play games. Yes, I am a woman. Yes, I still kick your ass in shooting games, so please stop talking. But even if I make it sound funny, never be rude to your community. You have to have the higher ground. You have to be on the higher ground. And I set up some rules for myself. But first, I want to give you an overview. I call it the fray, because you have to enter the fray. You have to communicate. If everyone else can say that they don't want to open Twitter, you have to be the one opening Twitter. And if something goes to shit at 3 a.m. at night and your boss gives you a call, you have to answer, because something might have gone wrong. So, the fray. We're starting with the obvious. It's Facebook and Twitter. Everyone is at Facebook and Twitter, even though no one cares anymore. Still, you should post news updates, stuff there. Then, if you are a gaming company, you want to be creative, you want to have cosplayers, you want to have fan artists. They hang around on Instagram, they hang around on Tumblr. They're not posting all their stuff on Twitter. So that's where we are as well. Just as a quick intersection, these are just the social media platforms we're at. So depending on your game and your target audience, it might differ. Then we are also on Twitch and YouTube, obviously for video content. Also obviously, if you have live streams, moderate them. Do not have unmoderated live streams, and the higher the quota of underrepresented groups is, the higher your moderation has to be. I speak from experience. And then the holy trinity of video game communities. The holy trinity, yes. We are in Discord. We have dedicated Discord servers for all our franchises, and we have to be in all of them. We have to be present. We are on Steam. We are on Reddit. We are not on 8chan. Just as a quick side note, if your community is on 8chan, you have bigger problems than managing the community, because you need to start somewhere else. These are the platforms we're on. Furthermore, we have forums, we have our own websites. I keep tabs on unofficial Facebook groups. I also keep tabs on unofficial forums. And that's not my main job. I just do it on top of my main job. So how do I do it? You have to have a social media content plan. You have to be very strict that you set up some goals. I use Trello, but whatever works for you is fine. Just plan out communication beats. Just say, okay, I have to post twice a day on Facebook and Twitter. I have to do something once every 2 days on Instagram. Put it in your spreadsheet, plan it out, try to make it diverse, and then stick to the plan. Because what it does, it gives you more stability, it makes your content more consistent, and it gives you the freedom to actually concentrate on doing community stuff, doing bigger plans, doing contests, planning out events, because otherwise you could get bogged down by just being there. You could also, depending on your target audience, want to look at TikTok. Our games are for 18+ audiences, so we're not on TikTok, but if you're doing something else, don't be too proud to go on TikTok, to go on Snapchat, to go where your community is, because you have to go where they are. Don't squeeze them into your framework. So, putting out fires. I've made some rules for myself that I put on a little board, what I could do to make it less negative. First of all, listen. Even if someone just says, oh, your game is shit, and I shouldn't ever play it again, but here I am playing it, don't be a bitch. Just listen to them and try to see what they really want to communicate. And just disregard the phrasing, unless it's a troll. If it's a troll, ignore them or kill them with kindness if you have a good day, but otherwise do not engage. Then, also important, accept responsibility. If someone's negative and you fucked up, admit that you fucked up, make it more human, make it more personal. Do not start pointing fingers. And instead, try introspection, then taking a step back and do it better next time. Manage expectations. If you have IPs that people are looking forward to, you shouldn't hype them up too much. Instead, you should try to keep it calm and do not let people engage too much with their high hopes. Because everything you say or do, even if you post a food picture on Instagram at 2 a.m. in the morning, people will try to analyze it. If I post something on my personal Twitter, people will try finding release dates on it. So you have to be very, very careful, depending on your franchises, what you're doing, what you're posting, what you're saying. Also, if you say something, I know you have to be transparent and you should be honest, but also try to be vague. Because you don't want to say, okay, I couldn't manage to deliver that. Instead, just try saying, we're doing it when it's ready. Because it's very vague and still you're saying something. Personally, I'm made fun of by my community because I reply to everything with soon TM. Everything in Discord, every question, soon TM. And they actually love it by now, which is good. Also, do not be an invader. If you're on a forum and your community is just ripping apart patch notes or ripping apart content, it's the first instinct to just jump in and explain yourself. Do not do it. Instead, listen to them, because if they get in a discussion and they talk and they might give you some insights, it's actually potential feedback that you're losing, because you're the I know I'm not, but they see you as some kind of extraterrestrial force coming in and just saying the truth and speaking the truth, and they won't talk. Usually they won't. They will just shut up, and you're losing feedback that you might have. Instead, try to listen to the conversation, and then at one point say, hey guys, thanks for thanks for your discussion. It's very good insights. I will try to pass along some of that to our devs. It still shows you're listening, but you're not invading their conversation. What I really like to do is rewarding positivity, because what players usually want is some kind of recognition from you or from your company, and you can actually channel what kind of community you're creating. Because if you focus on people that give constructive feedback, for example, Facebook, you post something, 30 people are just tagging their friends saying nothing, then other people will ask you for release dates, for when is it coming to Switch, is it coming there, but then some people are giving constructive feedback, some people are, even if it's negative, if it's constructive, it's positive. Reward those people, because what will happen is that your community sees that you're interacting with people that are doing good and being a positive force, and they will try to adapt their behavior. Again, unless it's trolls. If it's trolls, ignore them. And then step up. Step up means I let people inside myself. I let people trash talk our decisions and our company, but I will not accept harassment of our community. So if someone on Facebook or someone on Twitter, in our forums, I don't care where, is harassing people or is being fat-shaming, racist, I don't know, all kinds of isms, I will warn them, and if they repeat it, I will block them. No discussion. You as a community manager are responsible for the community you have. You do not get to complain about your community because you're the one shaping it. So be hard on it. So this one is the positive side, because you're not only the tank and the firewatch, you're also the bridge constructor, because you're getting to make people talk that wouldn't usually talk. So I try to focus on the positive things. It's also what I call soft skills 101, because since I'm a jack of no trades, it's just no hard skills, it's all soft. Again, be a source of positivity. If you're a shitbag, don't expect your community to not be full of shitbags. You're setting the example, so do not only try to not be negative. If you come into Discord, your people should be happy to see you, because you should bring something to them. Find allies. Do not do it alone. Even though I'm doing it alone from Berlin, I have a good team of community managers in Warsaw. Talk with them, exchange experiences, but also include your community. If you have someone engaging in discussions and being very active, you could make them moderators. You could include them in your group, give them some responsibility, and they will give you a lot of it back, because they will be your support system. Lead by example is basically the same as be a source of positivity. It's just so important that I phrased it in two different ways. Lead by example, be inclusive, be transparent, be positive, and then people are more likely to follow your example. But also accept that not everyone is the same. So if some people are just being snarky and bitchy, but they're still kind of positive, you have to accept it and move on. Respect them. Respect your players, respect their integrity, but also respect their passion. Because right now, for example, we have a very lovely community, and it's not only marketing, it's really true. We have a lovely community, but if we fuck up, it might turn into a very different kind of passion that could be targeted towards us. We see that with some companies that I really love at the moment, and it starts with respecting them, respect their voices. For me, the most important one is being reactive, because you should interact. It's basically the same as enriching your community. If you see a question, jump in there. If you see someone needing something, jump in there. If you see that there's a gap between what your dev team wants to offer and what your community team wants, talk to them. You're the translator. You're in charge of, you're the ambassador of your community, basically. But also, what that means is I'm active on Discord every day. No matter what I'm doing, even if I'm on a business trip, I will open it up, I will say hi, and I will try to be approachable, because you want them to trust you. You don't want them to set up a different channel where they communicate without you knowing, because you need to know what they want to talk about. So you have to be in there every day. Well, so empathy is apparently not that important. Empathy. Empathy should be a given, but for a lot of people it isn't. try to understand the needs of your community. By that I mean really try to understand them, because if they're complaining on your forum, you could either say, well, they're dickheads and I don't want to talk to them, or you could say, okay, they're on a forum because they want to love us, they want to love our game, they want us to succeed, but something is hindering them, something is bothering them, so you have to understand what they really want and help them get it. Try to turn it around and always see that as if someone's engaging with your company and is not a troll, you have to help them. I was trying to sum it up by the 3 most important points for me. Every community is different, so it might be that none of the things I told you are relevant for you, although I hope they might be. Then put user-generated content in the spotlight and put fan creations in the spotlight. Engage with your fan artists, engage with your cosplayers, engage with fan fiction writers, engage with your modders, because they enrich it. Witcher, for example, wouldn't be the same without all the people giving in their love and giving in their passions. So you should focus on that. And then the third one, I haven't touched on it very much, but people talk. If you get the reputation of being a very snarky, very aggressive, very rude community manager, you're done. They won't talk to you anymore. So try to be positive and try to be enriching. Yep, that's it basically from me. Thank you for your attention. I hope we have some time for questions.
We do, yes.
Very cool. So
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carolin Wendt, winner of the German Video Games Award.
Thank you.
All right, so do we have questions? And yes, it's kind of heavy.
Yes, if you want to hold it, you can.
Okay, so there's one.
Hi. I know your community is 18 plus normally, but we know nowadays like people are 12 years old or whatever, yes. They are playing those games and they are kind of a big part of the community. So I would say kids, sorry.
Sorry.
They are kind of special when you show them that you are human and you try to connect with them and they're sending you a Facebook direct message and then you're pretty nice and you answer and then they think you're kind of their buddy and they keep sending messages and it ends up in being a chat about like stupid shit and then they're just like sending you messages like, oh yeah, I was just bored, maybe you're there and just like talk, whatever. And then it feels hard to ignore them because they're kind of engaging or trying to. What do you do?
Yeah, so first of all, we also have Wendt, which is free to play, online and 12 plus. So we also have a very interesting mix of target groups within our own franchises. And then, yes, I get the messages because people see me as Caro on the internet, so they assume I'm Caro to them as well, which I know it's not good, but I try to ghost them over time. So we'll give them some information, but then also, if they get too personal, I will tell them, we might meet up at a community meeting later. We can discuss it in person, but I would prefer not to do it here. You can be very transparent and open, and usually what I receive as replies are very understanding. Because mostly they're very thankful for you interacting in the first place, because they won't expect you to answer at all. So everything you give is already a bonus. So cool. I haven't had any negative experiences with saying nope.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we had a second question right there in the far back.
Hi there. Thank you for the talk.
Hi.
I was wondering if you have a process when it comes to dog whistling in the community. This is something that I've experienced in our community where we had to deal with that. Where you have to get rid of people because they're clearly spreading messages that are absolutely do not belong in a community. And I was wondering if you have a way of dealing with that and explaining to the community why you do that. Because, yeah.
I'm using the bad cop and good cop approach because we have a lot of moderators that we're handpicking due to the content they put out in the community. And what I'm doing is I have separate Discords just for our moderators where we're talking about these kind of things, and our moderators will try to steer it in the right direction. And usually people just stop doing it because they know that when they're not listening to the moderators, I'm coming in. And no, because
You don't want that.
no, because they know that the moderators are trusted by us. So I usually don't have to deal with it. But then we have a lot of groups where we interact with allies. So I would just recommend finding people you trust in your community and delegating stuff. Because just like Ray, we could have maybe done the talk together. You have to delegate some of your responsibilities because otherwise you won't be able to do your job.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. One quick question, one last quick question, if we have one. If not, then we good. Thank you so much, Carolin.
Thank you.
Don't forget your prestigious award. Thank you so much. It was very insightful.